The dog had been barking in front of the giant python cage for hours. When the door finally opened, everyone froze at what they saw inside. The night was heavy with rain and thunder. Max, a golden retriever rescue dog, barked relentlessly, his voice echoing through the Everglades sanctuary. The flashlight beam cut through the darkness and then stopped. Inside the cage, the massive Burmese python was coiled tightly around something small and still alive. At Everglades Wildlife Sanctuary in Florida, the storm raged on. Water pooled around the cages and thunder rolled above the wetlands. Max stood in the rain, barking louder, scratching the concrete until his paws bled. A night guard yelled, "Max, stop it! You're driving that snake crazy!" But the dog didn't move. His eyes were filled with panic and desperate fear. Out from the dim light came Helen, the elderly reptile caretaker. "Wait," she said, her voice trembling. "Max never barks for no reason." She gripped her cane and walked closer to the cage, trying to see through the shadows. The sound of the rain faded, only Max's anxious barking remained. A beam of light swept across the wet steel bars. The giant Burmese python, over 12 feet long, was coiled tightly. Something gray and wet was trapped beneath its body. Helen's heart dropped. "Oh my God, it's a kitten!" The kitten's tiny body twitched weakly as the snake began to tighten its grip. Max let out a sharp growl, slamming his body against the cage. "Back off, Max!" the guard shouted. But Helen suddenly realized, he's not attacking the snake, he's trying to save that kitten. Helen turned to the guard. "Get the restraint pole and open the gate." The man's eyes widened. "Are you crazy? That's a full-grown python." Helen's voice was steady. "If we wait, that kitten dies. Move." The steel door creaked open with a chilling metallic groan. Helen shouted, "Hold the head!" The guard braced the pole against the python's neck, and Max darted inside the gap before anyone could stop him. The snake snapped around, its tail striking the ground like a whip. Max lunged forward, grabbed the kitten gently by the neck, and yanked it free from the tightening coils. "Close it, now!" Helen cried. The door slammed shut, just as the snake's body lashed out. Max stumbled out into the rain, dropping the limp kitten on the ground. Helen knelt beside it. The tiny creature's fur was soaked, body barely moving. She wrapped it in her scarf, whispering, "Please, don't give up." Inside the rescue room, bright lights flickered. Helen dried the kitten with a towel while Max lay nearby, drenched and exhausted. The guard sighed. That dog just risked his life for a cat. Helen smiled faintly. He doesn't care about species. He just cares that it's alive. Hours passed. Rain drummed softly on the roof. Max never left Helen's side. His eyes stayed fixed on the kitten. Helen stroked his head and whispered, "You did good, Max. You did something no human dared to do." At dawn, sunlight slipped through the window. The kitten stirred, letting out a weak but clear meow. Max's tail thumped once, twice, then faster. Helen laughed softly through tears. "You saved her, boy. You really did." Later that morning, Helen carried the kitten back near the python's enclosure. The huge snake, Luna, lay motionless. Helen spoke softly. "You followed your nature. But Max, he followed his heart." The dog sat quietly beside her, eyes calm, no anger left. A staff member took a photo. Max sitting beside the tiny kitten, the python cage behind them, glistening in the early light. That image was later framed with the words, "Courage doesn't roar, it protects." When the video of the rescue hit social media, millions of people watched in disbelief. "Even a dog knows the value of life," one comment read. Another said, "Nature gave him teeth, but he used them to save." That night, Helen wrote in her notebook, "I saw something extraordinary tonight. Not a miracle, but courage born from empathy. It reminded me that love doesn't always speak, it acts." Weeks later, the kitten, now named Lucky, followed Max everywhere. They slept together near Helen's office, safe and inseparable. Whenever thunder rolled in the distance, Lucky would hide under Max's paw. At the Everglades Wildlife Sanctuary, the staff still talks about that stormy night, the night a loyal dog challenged nature itself to save a tiny life. Max never sought praise. He only wagged his tail whenever he heard that kitten's meow. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Soul Paw Stories V for more true-style emotional tales of courage, compassion, and the bond between animals and the human soul.